Okay, Mark White wanted us to show you how the bolt tension calibrator works. So this is a Skidmore Wilhelm high strength bolt tension calibrator specifically for the high tension bolts that will be used on the engine section base frame. And the way this thing works is you have the front plate and the back plate that can move relative to each other, and in between the space is oil. So as you apply pressure, as you clamp down on the bolt, the pressure is indicated on the gauge up here and it's calibrated. So first thing we'll do is we'll put the adapter plate for the 1-inch bolt on and then start assembling everything to test the 1-inch bolt. Okay, so all we've done here is simply put the adapter plate on, and these 4 bolts are just hand tightened. There's nothing that requires this to be tightened at all. It just allows the force of the bolt to be applied to the front plate. Alright, this is sort of a crappy shot, but it'll do. What we've got here is the bushing for the 1-inch bolt that just simply slides into the back of the bolt tension calibrator. Well, it's supposed to slide in there. Sometimes you have to motivate it with a hammer, but it's a very tight fit, and it's a critical component of the instrument. And you push that in there all the way until it's seated. And the spec for the engine section calls for the bolt to be tested with a washer on the nut end and the head end, but the bushing will not allow for a washer, and I just figured that the bushing itself would count as a washer. So here's one of the 1-inch bolts that we tested. It goes in just like that. Okay, and so then depending on what length bolts you have, you'll have to use a series of spacers. So for what we're doing, we'll just use these spacers. It doesn't really matter which way they go in. This time we will use a washer, and you simply hand tighten the nut. Alright. Okay, so then once you have the nut on, then you pre-tension the bolt to 100 foot-pounds for the 1-inch bolts and 150 foot-pounds for the 1.25-inch bolts. There you go. Just to point out, another thing that we're not using, but you can get with a bolt tension calibrator, is a torque reaction arm. The high torque hydraulic torque wrench that we'll be using, we're going to react off the table. The adapter, actually I guess the reaction arm that comes off this plate is not long enough for our particular device, so we just left the plate on. Okay, so as Led Zeppelin plays in the background, we're going to torque this mother. And so what we've done, the requirement is that it has to be a half turn of the nut in 10 seconds or less, and that's not possible with this hydraulic wrench, so you're going to have to use something pneumatic to pull that off. So what we're going to do is, I got a mark on the far side, and you'll see it come around as we increase the torque. I think it's really loud. We'll call that close is good enough. And then what I want to show you is the gauge real quick. Okay, so the requirement in the spec for the 1-inch bolt is it has to be at least 67,000 pounds. So you'll see the needle is, what, about 74,000. There's a 1-inch line on the gauge for high strength bolts. So as long as you're above that, within 25%, you can go over 25%. That gives us the clamping force we need for the base frame for the 1-inch bolts. Now we'll remove the nut. All right, y'all ready to remove it? All right, so that's pretty much it. If y'all have any questions, you need to contact Mark White because he has all the answers.